Hi, I'm Aaron from Living Science Videos. Remember when we talked about organelles and how they help a cell to keep stable conditions, homeostasis, in order to stay alive? Well, one of the most important functions in maintaining homeostasis in a cell is to take in necessary chemicals and expel waste. Much like your skin, your body cells have a cell membrane that performs this function. In fact, all animal cells have cell membranes. In addition, some non-animal cells have a rigid outer structure called a cell wall. Plants, fungi, and most bacteria have a cell wall, although the elements that compose these walls may be different. Although fungi don't get enough attention, and who doesn't love bacteria, let's talk about what the cell wall in a plant does. Cell membranes and cell walls both filter the size of molecules that can pass through. They allow valuable molecules like water to pass through a process called diffusion. The molecules in gas and liquids have a tendency to flow from spaces crowded with molecules to less densely crowded areas. You see this every day in weather. The air in areas with high pressure flow toward areas with low pressure. This process helps create wind, which is just moving air. Inside a cell, water is vital not just for chemical reactions that create energy, but to move substances. In plants, water in the cell wall serves an additional function of keeping the cell structure stable. The process of diffusion causes water to enter the cell through osmosis until the area outside the cell wall and inside reach a more balanced state, or equilibrium. Think of it like being in a crowded room or restaurant. If there's room next door or more empty tables, the people will flow to the other room until both rooms are balanced. The cell wall in plants is made of rigid carbohydrates like cellulose. Plants don't have skeletons to hold them up, so how does a tree stand taller than all other living things without flopping over? Part of that is the rigid properties of cellulose. The cell wall also keeps too much water from escaping. The water inside keeps the cell wall from collapsing with pressure from the outside, called turgor pressure. Turgor pressure from water and the rigidity of the cell wall help a plant maintain its shape. Think about this the next time you eat a nice crispy piece of celery. Who likes wilted celery? Cellulose. Oh boy. Many plant cells together can keep the sturdy structure of a tree standing tall, like microscopic bricks made of cellulose. There are a few other differences in the structure of plant and animal cells, but both are eukaryotic cells, so they both have a nucleus. In fact, if you look at a unicellular eukaryote, like an amoeba, and compare it to an animal or plant cell, you'll see that they have mostly the same organelles. Eukaryotes have most of the same structures because they share a common ancestor. The last eukaryotic common ancestor, or LECA, has Archaeopteryx descendants alive today that are very similar to the original LECA. A look at the structure of Archaeamoeba compared to parabasalids and other metamonids gives scientists a window into the early origins millions of years ago. All organisms in the eukaryote domain, including plants, animals, fungus, and protists, are evidently related to the LECA, so it's no surprise that under a microscope they have the same organelles. Organelles are similar to the organs in your body's systems, only smaller. They have specific functions or jobs to do. Your brain is an organ that directs your body's systems. The nucleus is an organelle that has the instructions to keep all the cell's necessary parts running. Plants and animal cells have mostly the same parts, but there are a few important differences. One we just talked about how plant cells have cell walls and animal cells don't. Let's start with an organelle that is rarely found in plants but is found in animals. It's called a lysosome. The job of a lysosome is to break up large food particles into smaller ones. And that's the reason why plants don't often have them, because they make their own food. They also break down old cell parts so that they can be recycled and used again. They keep the cell tidy. If you look at a lot of plants, you will notice that they're usually green. And the green color is from a chemical called chlorophyll. And chlorophyll helps absorb light that a plant needs to make its food. It's green because it absorbs a specific wavelength of light. If you look at a rainbow, it has different colors because the colors have different wavelengths. The visible spectrum of light can be seen in a rainbow. The color with the shortest wavelength is violet, and the color with the longest wavelength is red. There are more on both sides, but those wavelengths are either too short or too long for our eyes to see. The organelle that helps make food for the plant is called a chloroplast. Animals don't have chloroplasts in their cells. Can you imagine the world if they did? More animals would be green, and you would definitely need more sunlight or you would starve. But you wouldn't need to eat other organisms like plants, animals, and fungi at lunchtime. Maybe class would be held outside. to soak up the rays, or maybe the roof would be clear. If you look at a leaf, you will see the part of the plant that is most often green, and you can also see that it has a flat surface positioned to catch the sun's rays. Would you have leaves if you had chloroplasts to make your own food? You definitely need a structure like them to soak up the sun. There are many green animals, and like some green lizards, but it isn't because they have chloroplasts. It is because of plants, though. Some animals are green so that they can camouflage with plants to hide from predators or to sneak up on prey undetected in the green foliage. You may have noticed that some lizards aren't green. Again, it's so they can blend in with their environment, like a brown lizard may live in a rocky area. Some lizards, like snakes, are brightly colored, and that's often used as a warning. Don't mess with me, I'm venomous. Just as a city is made of its people and the structures that they build, you're made of cells and the structures that they build. Each living cell may need organelles like cell walls and cell membranes and lysosomes to keep them healthy and functioning. And as you can see, a multicellular organism is a vast population of microscopic cells, each going about their day-to-day business, keeping themselves alive and together making up the tissues and organs that keep you alive. That's something to think about as you go about breathing oxygen to feed those cells and eating your lunch to provide them with the chemicals they need. Collectively, physically, they are what you are.